This video is all about the different types of lead. There are three main options, those being maintained or sometimes called sustained lead, the second being swing through, and the third is pull away or sometimes known as push away. Now, not only will I be looking at those three main types, I'm also looking at another couple. There's at least one hybrid that I'm looking into, and then the last one is known as collapsing or diminishing lead. Now, you may have heard the term using a dead gun or spot shot. Well, that is essentially what diminishing lead is. So I'll be looking at that and giving you a few examples and demonstrations on that one too. Before we go any further, I just want to describe each method without actually shooting it, but to give you an idea of what you should actually be seeing. So firstly, maintained or sustained lead. So we have the gun at the hold point. The clay comes into the hold point, and then you maintain, as it suggests, the lead to the kill point. As a general rule of thumb for this one, I like to try and insert the gun at the desired lead in the first place and stick with it until the kill point. That can vary sometimes, obviously, but as a general rule, that works for me. Secondly, pull away. So gun at the hold point, clay comes into the hold point, insert the gun, follow it, learn as much as we can about the clay, and then pull away at the desired time to shoot it at the kill point. Thirdly, swing through. We insert behind the clay. Again, as a general rule of thumb, but there can be some variance, I try to insert with the lead that I'm looking for behind the clay, and then swing through to that lead in front of the clay for the kill point. Now, there is a slight variation on swing through, and that's what some people call swing to, where we still insert behind the clay and then make that move, but if it doesn't require any lead or very little, then we call it a swing to the target rather than swinging all the way through. So as soon as we come to, say, the back edge, looking to pull the trigger depending on the lead required. Then hybrid pull away is a bit of a mix between maintain lead and pull away. Now, this is very useful if you're short on time and you need to get out to a big lead. So what we do is we start as a maintained lead as the clay comes in, and then extend out to a big lead as required. Now, one competition that I did probably 18 months ago sticks out for where this was really required. There was a big tower, and then the clay was quartering away from us, and you only had a split second to really be into the kill point, and that's where that hybrid pull away method really worked, just to get literally quite onto the clay and establish that big lead very quickly. Others might say that a fast swing through would work, but as with always, it clearly depends on the target itself on that day, and it's just something else to have in your toolbox just in case that situation arises. So we'll look at that one as well. Then finally, collapsing or diminishing lead is where we basically use what some people call a dead gun or a spot shot, and essentially the kill point and the hold point are the same. Now, we do need to be careful because sometimes the clay can vary how it comes off the trap arm, but as a general rule, we are looking for the clay simply to come into the gun and pull the trigger as it does. Now, these are quite useful when there's little to no lead required and obviously no gun movement. But just as a word of warning, just in case the clay has a bit of variance, as you'll see there are some examples, You do need to be ready and just to give a slight movement if required, just to adjust the line or the kill point as and when needed. Unfortunately, I didn't really find a target whilst making this film where I could use the hybrid pull away method on, but hopefully using the barrel view of ShotCam and this skeet shot, you will hopefully get a good idea of it in action in slow motion. I apologise for the ShotCam view using the barrel view. Unfortunately, it always seems to be a little bit higher than the crosshair, so the end of the bead will be well above the clay, but hopefully you'll get a good idea as it shows what it would look like from behind the gun. So you can see the clay has just left the tower. So we'll let it come into our hold point. Then we start to move away in a maintained lead style. So if you just use your imagination, let's say that's probably a 4 or 5 foot lead and we want to extend out to an 8 foot or 10 foot lead. So then we start to pull away to a big gap as required, and then take the shot at the kill point and hopefully break the clay. So all being well, that's given you a better idea of the hybrid pull away method, and I hope that helps, and you may need to use it in the future. Now we have a target that's got a couple of options, and it is the white standard that you can see on the board, and it is coming from the trap there. So that's sort of quartering in. Now we've got two different options really. One would be a swing through, controlling the gun speed as best we can, or alternatively we could use a diminishing lead. So let's have a look at the target. And now let's have a look at the different options as I shoot them. So first I'll do a swing through and try and control the gun speed. And now I will do the diminishing lead version. So I'm holding much further out and then just letting the clay come into the gun and taking the shot without moving the gun or moving it as little as possible. Now let's just have a look from a different angle. Now, as you hopefully saw there, I was ready just in case the clay came out of the trap at a slightly different angle. Unfortunately for the video it did, so I was just ready just to adjust that little bit. So two perfect examples of diminishing or collapsing lead on the skeet, and that is high 1 and low 7. So hopefully you've seen the gun was dead or still on the first shot, and then I just made a slight adjustment and just lowered the gun just slightly to make the shot on the second one. On to station 7, but this time the low house. So I'll just have my gun at the hold point and hopefully let the clay just come into the gun and take the shot then. All being well, that's given you a better insight into various methods that you can use to shoot clays. Now, I'm going to leave you with a montage of further shots. A lot of these are on report pairs, etc., where I've used different methods on the first clay, and then that has led into a different method on the second. So it just gives you a better idea of when and where you can use different methods. Feel free to watch it at your leisure. Thanks for watching.